actually just don't think I can do this. And I really seriously considered stepping away from it. The goal was to be able to build an asset, not a job for myself.
Emily Angeloni co-founded WOW Recruitment in Sydney at the age of 22. She had no salary for 6 months, just her laptop and working from a building set for demolition. 9 years later, a team of 18 across every major Australian state, New Zealand and even the US. But the year she became a mother, her co-founder told her he was leaving. She came back from maternity to find out that the business had saved all the problems up for her return. She stood in the next company offsite meeting thinking she could not do this anymore. She'd seriously hit a roadblock and the business needed something to change. She needed to rediscover her why.
Doing great work with great people and having a great life while I do it. Like that for me was what it was all about.
Now she got this defined and the business has just had the strongest period since it started. She's now building an asset that truly gives her freedom in the next 5 years. But building an asset and knowing what it's worth are two very different things.
Valuations can be a pretty uncomfortable truth because as someone who's invested 9 years into something, your ego tells you it should be worth one thing and your pride tells it should be worth one thing. And when it's not worth that, it does shake you up a little bit.
Losing a co-founder, building something you're not even sure you want anymore, and then getting clear on the why and watching everything change. More recruitment founders have been through that road than would ever admit it. Emily's just prepared to say it out loud. So this is a brand new episode of the RAG podcast with Emily Angeloni on what it's like to run a business for 9 years, exit a co-founder, and then what an underwhelming valuation teaches you about yourself and your business. Emily, welcome to the RAG podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Pleasure. It's rare that I actually record so early in the UK, and obviously it's evening for you over in Australia. So it feels a bit different for me. It's normally the end of my day that I record the show. Rather than
well, it's the end of my day. We might have been better to reverse because I'm better in the morning.
Yeah, no, you don't want me. I'm a morning guy. You do not want me in the evening either. I'm morning. Well, Emily, thanks. Like I say, thanks for giving up your time at the end of the day. We want to have some fun with this. Do me a favor. I've given you an intro. I always do the kind of trailer intro these days. But if anyone said, "Who is Emily? What you do?" on a high level, I don't want any of the story, just the kind of bird's eye view of your operation, what you're responsible for now. What does it look like?
Bird's eye view of me as a business owner, Emily.
Yeah, the business. Yeah.
Yeah. So founder and director of WOW. We're a headcount of 17, 18. My role now is sitting really in that director founder seat, in that visionary seat, running the day-to-day and working on the business versus in it. We specialize in sales and marketing, and we just launched our tech division, which is super exciting. Ooh. We're a bit of a mix of perm and contract, probably 80% perm right now, 20% contract. Goal is to get that to more 60-40. And we're pretty much across all states in Australia, being Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide we do, and Perth, and a little bit of work in New Zealand and across the US. So team at the moment's made up of, I've got myself, my general manager, then there's 2 to 3 team leads and associate directors, 3 principal consultants. We've got 5 senior consultants, an associate consultant, and then a couple in finance and support roles as well.
Wow, and a supercar outside your office.
Yeah, that's so
that was loud. Don't worry. That was. Where are you? Are you in the Sydney CBD right now?
Yeah. We're just near Town Hall on Clarence Street.
Wow, someone's got a nice car anyway. Someone's got a nice car. So you started the business literally the same time I started Hoxo, right? 2017.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't believe how quick it's gone for me. How do you feel about that 9-year period?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like a lifetime, and sometimes it depends on the day. Sometimes it feels like it went really fast. But I told you how I came to know about Hoxo, didn't I?
Don't know. Let's
so
repeat it. Maybe you have.
We'd started the business 2017, and then 2020 when we went into lockdown, I started listening to the podcast every single day. Yeah. And then we did the Hoxo course when we came out the other side, and we were back in civilization again. But yeah, I used to walk every single day and put your podcast in my ears.
Wow. Well, you're here now. You're on the show. Other people are walking with you in their ears, I hope. That's what I hope. Well, I thank you for that. And I hope it helped because, really interesting time in everyone's lives and pivot. It was a real pivotal time in my life and my career. A lot changed around that time. So I kind of lent into the podcast. I think I did one a day for 60 days.
Yeah.
which was nuts. But behind the scenes, my life was kind of falling apart a little bit. So it was a good thing to keep me focused.
Good thing to tell yourself too.
Yeah.
Well, other people benefited from it, so good thing for you.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do. That's what I tried to do. Tell me, just, I don't want to go into your recruitment career, but what made, I guess, what were the foundations of you wanting to be your own boss? Because to become a founder of a business, there's usually a few components in place.
Yeah. It's a big question. Whenever people ask me this, I always try and think back to the moment, like some of the defining moments that meant that I wanted to work for myself, because I feel like I just always knew that I wanted to work for myself.
Yeah.
But I always think back to a moment where I would have been about 7 or 8 years old at the time. I know how old I was because of where I was living. We lived in a couple of different houses growing up. And so by where I was living, I know I was around 7 or 8. And I used to find it really hard to fall asleep at night. And I'd be up at night, being fearful of not being successful and not having a good career or a good life. And for me, I define success based on people running businesses, because it's what I was surrounded by. A lot of my family members run their own businesses and have a lot of independence. And at that age, my parents had just gone through a divorce. My mum was a single mum raising 3 children without financial support. There's a lot of financial stress. And so I guess I was probably moving away from that feeling of financial stress and scarcity and wanting more for not only myself, but for my family. But that was at 7 or 8 years old. That was really young. And I talk about that because it's like a core memory, and also something that I think was quite a defining moment in my life, and like what's turned me into who I am today. And then if I come to when I actually started my career, I started studying engineering, and at the same time I got into commission-only sales. And in commission-only sales, you get the benefit of the effort you put in, because if you don't work hard, then you get nothing out of it. And that's where I realized I actually thrived with extreme accountability. Like I did really well when my back was against the wall, and if I'd done 0 sales for the day, I knew I had to get out there and make some sales, or I wasn't going to earn any money. And
so knocking on doors, or?
Well, I was in shopping centres, stopping people in the shopping centre.
Yeah, we did it. I did the same thing. I knocked on doors in the UK for about 7 months, I think.
Yeah, right.
I went to the shopping centre stuff when I landed in Melbourne. Did it for about,
Really?
to be honest, I lasted about a week. And I was like, I'm not doing this again. I did it in the UK for long enough. It's brutal, but what an amazing training ground.
It's character building. But what I would say is it taught me that I have a lot of resilience, and I'm really good with rejection. And that's probably based on a few things I went through when I was younger, but I can really handle rejection. And so all of those things pieced together meant that, because I started running a team of 25 salespeople in that commission-only job. And so I got a profit share on my team. And that's where I realized, I love commercial outcomes. I love working in an environment where there's commerciality about it, where I manage people, where I work with people. And it was almost like I was running a little mini business within that, because I had profit share on what I was doing. And I was so young. I was 18. I left that when I was 19, 20. And then I guess in my DNA, I was always surrounded by my family members running their own companies. So I never saw running a business as a risk. I saw it as really normal. It didn't occur to me that was a really risky thing to do. And then also the blended fact of, I was 22 years old when I started WOW. I was naive. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Like if that opportunity came up now, maybe I would respond differently. But
so you left knocking on the shopping centre work around, 19 or so, and then you're a founder of a business 22. So, and you worked with your business partner, right? Did you work for Dan in your previous employer? Like, how did that all come about?
So when I did commission-only sales, I was working with Daniel then. He didn't want to hire me, by the way, in my interview. He said I was too shy.
Wow.
And so there was another leader who hired me and ignored him and made the hire. And look at us now. But so I'd worked with Daniel in commission-only sales for a couple of years. And then I left that and I went into recruitment, where I worked for another agency on my own. And Daniel and I were always really good friends. We always caught up, and I always saw him as a mentor. And it was just in one of our catch-ups, I think once he realized how much I was billing, he was like, we should start our own recruitment agency.
And was he not working in recruitment?
No, Daniel had no background in recruitment. Daniel brought with him a really solid understanding of sales, but then also a solid understanding of running a company. He'd been running his own company for 10 years. And then I'd been doing the recruitment side and had never run a business before. So I'd only been doing recruitment 2 years when we started WOW.
And was it his idea then that he saw potentially new and thought, right, we could build something together?
Yeah, I wish I could say it was my idea, but no, Daniel pitched me on the idea of starting a company. My first response was no. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've only been doing this for 2 years and it looks really hard. So I used to watch the way the directors were running the company I was working for. But then I thought about it, and we were catching up a lot because I was frustrated with where I was at. And so my mindset was, I don't really have anything to lose, and I know I'm good at this. Like, I know I can do this really well. And I knew that I could do it well and do it the way I wanted to do it on my own terms. I had a lot of ideas about how the business should be run. And now in hindsight, the managing director, fair enough, was like, you don't know what you're talking about. But I thought I had all the grand ideas in the world of how I could run it better.
So how did they take it when you left the place you worked at?
They were really good. I worked my full notice period. I don't think they saw me as a threat, to be honest. They were really kind to me. I saw other people be walked and I wasn't. But I did the right thing with the way I left. I didn't take clients with me. I really did start from scratch. So I always say, did they really trust me, or did they just not really see me as a threat?
I reckon a 22-year-old with a limited experience. Did you tell them you were starting a business, or did you say, so you told them the truth?
Yeah.
I guess they must have just, underestimated you a little bit.
I think so, because other people have done the same coming out of that agency, and they've started their own company. They've been treated very differently to how I was. Let's just put it that way. So I think sometimes the fact that people underestimated me, though, was my competitive advantage and was my superpower in the market and how we were able to do well. So, yeah, I'm not complaining about that. But, yeah, I think I was underestimated for sure.
So tell us about the day one. What did you walk into? What did it look like?
Day one. So we had a really shitty office on Castlereagh Street. Do you know Sydney, or were you in Melbourne the whole time?
I was Melbourne, yeah. I know the CBD a little bit. I was there last year, and I've travelled to Sydney a fair few times, but I wouldn't know all the individual streets.
Okay, well, anyway, we're in the CBD, but a building that was set for demolition. Like, it had a demolition clause, so the carpet was all torn up. So if you didn't walk very well, you'd trip over the ripped up carpet. But I had, it was just me and my laptop. And I do remember walking in and sitting down and having a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, Daniel thinks I know what I'm doing here, but where do I even start? And so the first day was just setting up my ATS, setting up my job adder system, starting to build up my contact list. And he had another business running out of there, a sales company. I remember everyone looking through the office window at me, being like, who's that girl? And who is she? And him explaining to everybody. And definitely felt a little bit of imposter syndrome around, like, I should know what I'm doing here, but I really don't. And I had a business plan from day one. That's one thing I've always been really good at, very disciplined with planning and strategy. And
what was in it, in the nice possible way? What was in your business plan at 22? Like, what were you thinking? I know I wouldn't have been able to write anything like a business plan at that age. So what did you put in it?
I don't remember the word for words, let's put it that way, but I had my logo and my brand design. There was always a place in my heart for marketing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But there was a brand, the logo, there was a mission statement around what we were trying to do. And I think at the time it was connecting talent with opportunity, but I'm pretty sure that's LinkedIn's now. So I don't know if I got that from them or whether I made it up, and now it's just so basic that other people
maybe they took it off you.
Yeah, maybe. No. And so then there was it was just GP goals.
Yeah.
Number of attempts. I had a temp book at the time, so number of attempts I wanted to have out, GP goals. It was like a quarter by quarter breakdown of how I wanted to get to where I wanted to go in numbers. I had KPIs for myself, number of sales calls every day, number of meetings I wanted to have each week, and the number of contacts I wanted to add into the database, because I was building everything from scratch. And it was very it was a lot of data points. I studied engineering. I'm very what's the word? Data driven.
Objectively driven.
Yeah.
So you're going out there, you're not touching your old clients, like you say, you're building a database from scratch. What was his part then, other than setting you up in the office and the systems? Was he paying you a salary as well? Or like, what was the deal like at that point?
No, so I didn't take a salary from the business for the first 6 months. So I'd saved through my commissions in my last role to be able to survive the 6 months without. And then I think even the next 6 months, it was very minimal, like 40 grand a year or something. But yeah, Daniel's input was giving me a place to work and an office to work, but mostly the actual blueprint for how to run a company. So getting me to think and not getting stuck in employee mindset, getting me to think as a business owner all the time and helping me zoom out and think about the business. So he was very good at helping me come up with my strategy for each year and each quarter, our goal setting. And we ended up breaking our goal setting into pillars of marketing, sales, service delivery, operations, finance, and people. And so having those structures in place from the very beginning, I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't had his experience from the past 10 years. That meant that we were always building in a structured way. And he valued systems and processes. So what he was really good at was saying to me, you need to systemize that. You need to systemize that. If you're doing it more than once, where's the system? Yeah. And one of our USPs in market now is our 5-step process and our 5-step recruitment methodology. It's how we win clients and what we pitch when we go out in market. And that was born because Daniel said to me, why are you so good at recruitment? Like, how are you able to build so much? And how are you able to generate so much trust and rapport from your clients? And I said, I don't know. I'm just good at it. It's same as when I was a good salesperson. People say, well, how do you close more than everybody else? And it was like, I don't know. I'm just good at it. Yeah. And so he's like, that's not good enough. You're not going to scale a business at that. You can't repeat that. Yeah. So he said, I'm going to come to every single one of your sales meetings. Every time you do a discovery meeting with a client, every time you do a job brief with a client, I'm going to sit with you. I'm going to try and work out what your process is, because he's like, you've got to be doing the same thing. Surely you're not just winging it every time. I said, no, I'm definitely like repeating myself. Yeah. And so, he followed me along to all my meetings and turned what I was doing into a system. That's what he's very good at. So it was stuff like that. That's just one example, but it was that, you get the gist. Like, it was that kind of thing where he had a lot of business knowledge and he knew how to build something and he knew how to grow something. And then eventually, after a couple of years, he actually started working in the business a couple of days a week.
Yep.
And he actually started to have a role in the company.
I was going to say, did he have any external, with him being such a good salesperson, was he able to open doors? Did he have client relationships? Was he out there opening doors with you?
Yeah. We would go on client meetings together, and leads would come in via his network as well. So we signed a lot of clients via his network. There was one of our big accounts that he was actually really heavily involved in for the years that he was in the business 3 days a week. He actually looked after one of our big accounts. Right. So there was definitely a lot. We ended up writing job descriptions for ourselves and having very different remits in the company. And where we landed more recently was that he would look after marketing and finance, and then I looked after all the other pillars, being sales, service delivery, people, and like more the visionary and the strategy. But he went really heavy into marketing and finance.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember meeting him when we brought you on in 2021 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
With us, and he seemed a great guy and really credible. I remember he asked me some pretty tough questions, which I remember.
He would do that.
Where did the name WOW come from, out of interest?
Well, Daniel was adamant that it had to be 3 letters. Don't ask me why. He wanted it to be really short, really memorable. Yeah. And we threw so many ideas out there. And Daniel was the one who pitched the WOW name, by the way. I'm going to give it to him. And his whole idea around it was, when you walk into a room and when we give people an experience, we want them to have like the wow factor, which now when you think back is really cheesy and a little bit cringe. But I always say, if your beginnings aren't cringe, then...
Yeah, if you're not embarrassed by the first iterations, man, you waited too long.
And our first logo was awful. It was a black and white brand, by the way, when we started.
That's what we did. Our first was as well.
Yeah, so, But no, it was. There's not a lot to it, more just like the memorability of it and the impact we wanted to have and the feeling we wanted to leave people with.
And did you know, like, honestly, at 22 when you launched the business, did you always want to build something of like headcount and stuff, or was that Daniel's influence? Like, we can build around you.
The weird thing is I never had a backup plan when we started WOW. There's another fast car, sorry.
It's all right, I like it. Adds a bit of extra to the episode.
So I never had a backup plan, was what I was going to say, sorry. And I always knew it was going to be successful. I just didn't have any doubt in my mind. I think where that came from, obviously it was intrinsic, that I had a lot of belief in what we were trying to do, and I knew that I could do well. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't coming from Daniel's belief in me too. Like, he had track record. He really believed I could do it. He had a lot of belief in me. And so I'm always really grateful for that. And I think that's definitely where a lot of the ambition came from, the two of us coming together and knowing that I believed in it because I knew that with his backing I could do really well. He believed in it because he knew with my backing we could do really well. And so I think that chemistry just naturally meant that we grew each other's ambition for what
Yeah.
we wanted to do, and we always had big goals together. So yeah, we always wanted to have headcount. Was it him? Was it me? No, I think it was both of us. But we always had a lot of ambition for the company. We never did it for lifestyle. We always did it to grow. If anything, we just wish we could have grown it quicker, but there was just a lot of learning along the way.
Yeah, yeah, hell of a lot of learning, and obviously the age as well that you were like early 20s. I mean, I was a bit older than you. I was 30 when I started Hoxo, and I'm 40 this year. So it's I think I got quite a lot out of my system in my 20s that probably I needed to focus in my 30s, and I worked for other people for 10 years and learned as much as I could.
Yeah,
But you were probably going through a lot of different transitions as a person in that period of time.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
and now like you're a mother, right? You're completely different person than 22-year-old sitting there in an office with carpet ripping up. So where did you? I guess what you mentioned there's a lot of mistakes. When you look back on that, like give us an example of something that you definitely made, like you messed that up. Other people, could learn from listening to say objectively we got that wrong.
Probably the most expensive one would be going really hard at hiring rookies. Um, I still believe there's a place for it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say don't hire rookies because I still think there's a place for it. I just think that I bit off more than I could chew when I ran that model because we were a small company. We didn't have the infrastructure or the margin to carry people who couldn't get up and running quickly. And then we didn't have the training grounds for people to really be able to get all of the training they needed. We had a really good program. You don't have, as a small company, you just don't have the infrastructure that a large organization has to be able to carry it. It's so expensive to do.
So what were
And
the
so,
symptoms that it was going wrong?
well, lack of profitability would be the biggest one. That's probably the most obvious one.
Yeah.
But the small things would be that our team leads were getting sucked into a lot of training, so their billings were suffering, and it was leading to resentment from them. It was a lot of content creation coming out of our leaders because we didn't have the systems and like the L&D systems in place. And so they were getting frustrated with how much time they were having off the floor creating content.
Yeah.
And then a lot of turnover because the rookies, they either made it or they didn't. And they trialed it with us. Then if they realized they didn't want to be in recruitment, they left the industry, but we were the training ground. So the high turnover, when you have IP walking out the door constantly, that's so costly in itself.
Yeah.
And
What's
then
the
just
knock-on effect to the culture as well, do you think, at that point when you got a lot of people coming in and out?
it really suffered, I think, because it's not the quality of person dropped. There were still great people, but the quality of skill set dropped. And so it's not as, we didn't have as inspiring of an environment to attract a high performer because the billing average went down and you're only ever as good as like your billing average. And so our billing average was really low at that point, meaning it wasn't as inspiring of a place to be. Whereas now we pride ourselves on being like a high performing environment with high billing averages. And so it attracts good quality talent. It attracts good clients because it's an inspiring place to be with quality work and quality outcomes. So, and obviously our clients, that there's not even to talk about the fact that with the rookie program, candidates and clients suffered because we didn't have quality people delivering the work. So you can imagine I was coming off the tools, coming off being the one looking after the clients. And instead of giving them to a principal consultant or a senior consultant, they're getting handed a rookie.
Yeah.
That's probably the most expensive mistake we've made. And it was like a year-long journey.
And
Yeah.
what have you done since then to rectify that for the future? What's the model now? How does it look different?
It looks different in that we really balance our resourcing. So we're quite considered and intentional about the way that we hire. And we look at how long it's going to take for somebody to ramp up, the resource we have available to us for training and development, and the impact we want to have and when. And now that we're a more established company, we can spend a bit more and hire more senior people. And so I guess there's something to say in that. The reason why we went down the rookie path, by the way, is because it's all we could afford. So
Right.
there's also an element of like, you can only do what your company can afford. But yeah, so we got to we're at the point now where we'll look at the team and they can't have more juniors than seniors on the team. Like we need to be outweighing the team with seniors with a higher billing average. So that not only does our delivery not suffer, but also our team leads, their time's a bit more balanced. There's less hand holding, people who are a bit more capable. So that's why now we've got, like, our headcount is more weighted to the senior side.
And that, again, culturally feels very different, doesn't it? Because like,
Yeah.
even just the conversation in the room will be different. The way they handle problems will be different.
So
The amount of money people making money. I remember working in a recruitment business where at one point no one was making any money. Like it was like three of us that were making money, and that it's not good for the morale. And it was because we were too bottom heavy. Like we'd gone to too much of a rookie model. Same thing you went through, and they clawed that back and changed it. But they were kind of banking on the fact that in a year all of these rookies that would be at that level, and it's just for a small business of 15 staff or whatever we were, it just wasn't. Again, exactly what you said. And I think pre-AI, getting content created for training and things, pre-AI was a really difficult. I think it would be easier now in some ways to be able to, even what Dan did, following you around, you could probably just record a few of your meetings and AI would map out the 5-step process for you in minutes. Exactly. Right? So there are ways to do things better now.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, do we need the rookies if we're all operating using AI? It's a different question.
Well, the other thing for me, and this wouldn't be the same for every single company, but I got really clear on why am I doing this and what am I trying to create? And for me, I'm trying to create an environment where we are consultants in the true sense of the word, where we are doing really high quality work with our clients, that we're a boutique agency that is high performing, and where it's really high quality work, more going down that executive path versus the junior roles. Mm-hmm. And so once I got clear on where I was going, then my hiring strategy lined up with that. So I do think there's space for us to hire a rookie, just not at volume anymore. And it'd have to be really like a considered decision with really clear training and guardrails. Yeah, there's still so much place for it. I love trainings. And as an organization, we are good at it. Our top biller for the last couple of years is somebody who had never done recruitment before. He was a total rookie, and now he runs our sales division, has been our top biller for the last few years. So, and our top biller underneath that, she was a rookie too, so that we trained from scratch. So we can do it. It's just a very expensive model to run.
And again, to get those two, you normally have to kiss a lot of frogs, right?
Well, exactly. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Now, Daniel's no longer in the business, right? So let's get into that. I'd like to get to that. At what point did this come about that you might actually be running this company without your business partner?
Good question. I think I have to give a bit of context to be able to answer that. So 2 years ago now, I finally convinced my sister to join the company as our general manager.
Right.
And I say finally because I've wanted her to work with me for a really long time. We complement each other really nicely in that she's a real implementer and very operationally sound. So if I'm coming up with strategy and ideas and I'm out in market with clients and candidates, she can essentially be in the office, bringing it all to life, bringing the strategy to life and keeping the business running from an operational perspective and from a financial perspective. And so when she joined the company, it showed that I now had another right hand. And I think it gave Daniel the permission to start to step back. So he started to step back. He had other businesses doing really well. So he has other ventures that he's always been part of, and he had other things going really well. And he was just naturally stepping back. And then I fell pregnant and I was about to go on maternity leave. We just had a really honest conversation about what we both want. And I had a chat to him where I said, I just don't feel like this is it for you anymore, and it's okay. And if you decide that you want to go into the other business 5 days, they were asking him to be CEO 5 days a week. And that was a really big opportunity and they really needed him. And I just said, if that's where your heart is and that's what you want to do, I think you can add a lot of value there and have a lot of impact. And I just want you to know it's okay with me. And so we just had that kind of chat. And then it was only a few days later that he asked me to go for a walk and said, yeah, I think I'm out. And I said, that's okay. So,
And you're about to go on mat leave at this point.
yeah, I was going on maternity leave that Friday.
Wow.
Timing wasn't good. So my first question, as you can imagine, was, wait, are you going to stay until I get back? And he said, of course.
Yeah.
And so he stayed until I got back. So it was a bit of a bombshell before I went on leave, but I am grateful for it because I had my whole time off to know what I was coming back to, and to know that I was coming back to do it solo, and to really plan that and start to think about how my role would shift when I got back. So it gave me a lot of clarity. It was definitely hard at times. I think it's in hindsight, I'm grateful. But yeah, it gave me a lot of clarity about like who I wanted to be in the business, the role I wanted to play. And, if there was any part of me that was in the passenger seat, it was like, right, I really need to get into the driver's seat in all areas of the business now, not just in the areas that I've been focusing on for the last couple of years. Like I just need to get a handle on everything again. So yeah, I think, and good things have happened since. It was a really good decision.
I've found, honestly, in life, like most of the hardest conversations, hardest decisions at the time have led to the best outcome. Like and that's personally and professionally. Like you don't always see it in that exact moment, but it doesn't always take that long for you to see it. So just on your sister then. So was she working in recruitment as well in a competitor, or what was her background?
As a seasoned recruiter, you know that a CV never tells the full story about someone. Candidates share what really matters during conversations. They tell you on calls, in the interview, over email, what they're motivated by, their salary expectations, plans to relocate, etc. Most of the detail ends up buried in notes, forgotten. It's not on a resume. Now, our headline sponsor, Atlas CRM, changes all of that. It's the first AI native recruitment platform built to eliminate admin. It captures every single conversation automatically that you guys have and turns it into something you can use. They've got something called Magic Search, which is now out, right? And what you can do is ask it questions like, who talked about wanting a 4-day week? Or who've mentioned they're open to relocating next year? It searches across your entire database and pulls the answers instantly. So it's not about keyword guessing and digging through old notes. You get insights from real conversations, not limited by CV fields and coded filters. Atlas also makes BD easier. With their opportunities tracker, you can track and grow with client relationships powered by generative AI. And that's built into an existing workflow, so you don't need any extra tools. It's in the CRM. If you want visibility of your business, Atlas's smart dashboards give you clear view of the pipeline across your business. And it's not theory, right? Atlas customers have reported over 40% EBITDA growth and 80% increase in monthly billings from adopting the platform. Atlas is built for agencies who want to grow without adding more manual work. So don't miss the future of recruitment. If you're sat there thinking, I need to bolt AI into my platform today, don't even bother. Just get started with Atlas and unlock your exclusive listener offer at www.recruitwithatlas.com/therag.
All right, let's get back to the show.
No, so she's working in a management consulting firm. And interestingly, a lot of the directors in that firm had come out of recruitment and then gone into management consulting. And so she really understood the professional services environment. She really understood service delivery and resourcing and getting a business operating in a way where it was profitable and you were well resourced. And she was a big part of our level up in terms of the way we run things and attracting a high caliber person to come and work with us. Because she's very considered and very structured. Whereas Daniel and I are what you would imagine when you imagine a business owner, in that we visionary, have all these ideas, but we can be quite impulsive and just naturally really optimistic with the way we do things.
Yeah.
Whereas she's very real and very calculated. And she was the balance that we probably both needed, but definitely what I needed. And then obviously I was going on maternity leave. And so the trust that I had in her was next level, as you can imagine, because it's my sister.
Yeah.
I always said I'd never work with family, by the way. So
I was going to ask that. I mean, was that a concern at the beginning? Like, could this?
Yeah, for sure. Because we're sisters. Like, we grew up fighting and all sorts. But it has been the best thing for the business, best thing for me. She's really elevated. She did a brand refresh when she first started, because marketing's like, as much as she's operational, marketing's her passion. Yeah. And so our whole brand look and feel now has her hands all over it. And she really brings a lot of care and magic to the marketing function. And so, yeah, it's been the best thing, but we were definitely nervous to do it. That's That's putting it lightly.
And again, she was there when you went on maternity leave, so she was putting things into play. So what was agreed with Daniel then? How did you said at the end of, will you stay till I get back? So how long was that? And then what happened next?
So I said, would you stay until I get back? And he said yes. And originally I'd planned to take 6 months off, but once I got this news, I ended up taking 3 and a bit. And so it was, my baby Ariana came in September. And so I was back in January. And the idea, in terms of what happened, he took my handover. He did it the best he could, but he was so time poor. The other business was just pulling him in all sorts of directions. And so the maternity leave probably didn't go how either of us wanted it to in terms of him running my role. But the blessing was that it meant Edie really, my sister, really had to step up in her GM role and earn that role. So what I mean by that is because some people could have assumed, nobody said this in our company, but that I know of anyway, but people could have assumed, and I think her fear was that people thought she had that role because she was my sister and not because she could do it. And so the silver lining of Daniel maybe not being able to deliver the way he would have liked to and the way I would have liked him to was that my sister was she really stepped up and was able to earn her place in the company. And I think that's what she took from that. She gained everybody's respect for the skill set she had, and she was able to find her feet without me around. And so it actually all worked out for the better. It was hard, don't get me wrong. We had this thing where she came to my house every single Friday that I was off to talk through the strategy plan, talk through her week, and to make sure we're keeping everything on track. So we're having catch-ups weekly, and the first couple of months was her just sitting there and crying for the majority of the catch-up. So it was tough. It was a really steep learning curve for her. But yeah, she came out the other side being really well positioned in the company. And I think then having a new sense of belief in what she was capable of as well. So it all worked out really well.
So you come back then, and again, more just from a mother's perspective. Obviously, I've had a little girl 2.5 years ago, and I've seen my wife go through that, and it's not plain sailing. I mean, hormonally, life change, there's so many things moving at once, and you're dealing with, so you were just talking about the business side, there's a lot of transition there, but as a person, you're completely changing as well. So how did you find the balance of that?
Really hard. To the point where I thought about shutting the whole thing down, just to be, I don't think I've said that. I think I said that to you when we got up last, but I haven't said that.
Is that while you're sat there on maternity, you're like, I just don't know if I need this?
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I came back, the shit show that I came back to, that sounds so harsh, but you come back and everyone's like, hey, you're back now. Let me unload the problems. Let me tell you all the things that have gone wrong because we didn't want you to know why you're off. So let's unload now. And so I felt like every day I came in, I was just being berated with like either all the things that haven't been done properly or all the things that aren't going well and all the problems that were there. And that is my role. Like I am a problem solver and I love to problem solve. But when you're doing it on no sleep and you're doing it breastfeeding and being away from your child for the first time and all the hormones that come with that, it's harder to take and you don't feel like you're in your element of problem solving. You feel like you're just being beated over and over again. And so I found it really, really hard to the point where my first offsite strategy day that I had once I was back, I was like, I actually just don't think I can do this. And I really seriously considered stepping away from it. I'm so grateful that I didn't. It was just the overwhelm of coming back. But what that moment did was make me really think about why I'm doing it and get really clear on like whether it's worth it. And obviously my decision was that it is. That's why I'm here right now. But I had to actually get clear on that. But that in itself, I think everyone should do, whether you just had a baby or not, like recheck yourself. If you've been running your business for a few years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, recheck yourself. Like, why are you doing this? What's it for? What's the ultimate outcome? What do you want to achieve? Because then you can start making decisions and prioritizing accordingly and making sure you're always moving closer to that versus.
I think that's what, when we met originally to talk about this, that was one of the things I was excited about. Because I think we're so aligned in the way that, like, in the last couple of years, I've gone through that exact process of like, why? Like, and maybe it's something you approach at the 10-year mark or whatever as a business owner. I don't know, but I think it's also partly being a parent. You just think, well, how do I want to run it? How do I want to work? Like I've got a way in which I want my week to go now that is not about the work, not about the business. The business is secondary to that. And I guess before my daughter came, I was like, I just would have done anything at times to get things over the line. And now I'm like, I'm not doing it. I've got priorities that are bigger, and I know where I'm going. I know where I want to be at 50 years old, and I've written it all down. And it's actually, in a way, it's not that punchy. Like if you actually look at my ambition, and I sometimes sit on this podcast and I think, fucking hell, maybe I'm lacking ambition to some of the guests, but it's not. Like, it's genuinely like, almost, can I keep the ship going as it is today for the next 10 years and invest the profit so that I don't need to sell the business? I can earn the exit my own way. That's what me and Emma have gone. And still work like a 35-hour week or whatever we work now. That's the balance. And I think that'll be a real challenge as the world changes, as AI takes over. There's just maintaining what you've got is going to be a big project, and it's on its own. Because I don't think the world will stay as flatline stable as it has done in the past. So you could just keep doing what you've always done. So anyway, that's my little 2-penny in. So tell me what did that look like once you've gone, I want to shut it down, and actually no, that's just overwhelming. What did you write down that now shapes the future?
Yeah, so I started to think about, just really simply, what am I doing this for? And it's to do great quality work with great people and have a great life while I'm doing it and really enjoy that. And so that sounds so simple, I know, but doing great work with great people and having a great life while I do it, like that for me was what it was all about. And it's what motivated me.
Can I just pinpoint a little bit more there? So, because again, sounds like my thought, very similar to what I've written down, but what does a great life mean for you then? So what does that mean?
Having choice, living life on my terms. And I think that probably comes back to the fact that I was raised by a single mom who always had a lot of financial stress and she left before we woke up to go to school, and she got home after dinner time. Like, she was home after 7:30 p.m. at night. We normally made our own dinners, and she just couldn't really be there in the week. And then she used her weekends to like recover so that she could get back for Monday. She wasn't using her weekends to follow her passions or have hobbies or go to the gym or she's a gym junkie, by the way. So like go to the gym, do exercise, she wasn't using her weekends to do that. She was using her weekends to like recoup and survive and then start again on Monday. Yeah. She didn't ever take us to sport or anything like that because she was always working. So my friends' mums would always take us. Hey, and so my mum was not involved in any of my social or like my schooling side of things because she was just working all the time. And I say that so you know where I'm coming from when I say I just want to be able to live life on my terms and have some financial freedom to do that so that I can be present and be part of my kids' lives and part of like family.
How does that look then? What does living on your terms like? What are there like? Is there like staple pillars to it that you need to make sure are evident for this to be existing?
Yeah, little things like being able to do school drop off and then be able to come to the office after with nobody asking me where I was. Leaving the office at 5:30 to be able to get home for kids' dinner and bath time and bedtime routines without anybody telling me where I need to be. Having my weekends, having more than just my weekends, like working a 3 or 4 day week if I really want to. It's having the freedom to spend my time where I want to spend it. And that's what we've grinded for the last 9 to 10 years for, is to be able to be in the position where we can make those choices and have that level of freedom. So yeah, living life on my terms, being able to choose where I spend my time. I know it's simple, but it's actually, we don't have much of it. So
no. Would you say you're choosing to spend it very differently than you did pre-children?
Yeah. I used to work 7 days a week pre-children, pre-child, one child. I used to work 7 days a week. I would get in early, but then I would work until really late at night. Like I'd leave the office really late at night. To be honest, I'm surprised my husband didn't get fed up with that, but I was always working. And even when I got home, I was back on my laptop and I'd be in bed on my laptop replying to client emails, responding to the team. If the team called me, no matter what time it was, I answered. But yes, I worked Saturdays and Sundays until I had Ariana. And now I really try not to open my laptop on the weekend. I might on a Sunday evening once she's gone to bed. But for me, not to work Saturday and Sunday is huge. And then when I'm at home, you're just forced to be present. Like you can't be on your laptop because she'll be on there like trying to tap away on it. So Yeah, you are. Kids are great in that they force you to be really present because they're so demanding.
Phones are dangerous though. Like you can let them watch The Little Mermaid and then have your phone out like that. I've fallen into that trap and thought, no, I'm putting this away. Like I
Put my
can't.
phone in another room.
Yeah.
That's my hack at the moment. I think because Ariana is 20 months, 19, 20 months. And so she's really aware of the phone right now. And so if I'm on it, she's looking at it and it makes you hyper aware that they're so
Yeah.
clued in. So yeah, I put my phone in another room now when I'm
So,
playing with her,
yeah.
which just helps you stay present and in the moment.
Yeah. My older two, my stepkids are big on. Obviously, they love using their phones, and I'm pretty strict on them having certain times and not. So it's funny because my stepson gets back from primary school at 4:30, and my stepdaughter gets back at 5, just after 5 from secondary school. So they have like he finishes at 6:30 on the phone, she finishes at 7. That's the deal, because there's a 30-minute starting point. But she was the problem. She was really like adamant that like, this is unfair. So then what I've started to do is she takes my phone. Instead of me going and getting her phone off her at 7 and putting it away, she comes and gets my phone and puts them both away, and my wife's. And I'm like, there's just that little reversal of the role. I'm saying, look, you now have to sweep around the house and collect the phones and put them all away. She loves it because she's like, now she's got our attention. Yeah, because there was points where we'd make her put hers away, and then we'd have ours out. And I'm like,
yeah, she's like, that's not fair. She's
no,
smart.
no. And we're running businesses, and we can say, oh, sorry, I've just got this thing in the morning I need to do, or whatever. There's always a reason in there, but it's bullshit, really. Your kids are only going to be that age once.
It's scary thinking about raising kids with social media and that. So I don't know how you're navigating that with yours.
No,
but
we're not really. Yeah, we're not as strict as Australia yet. I hope we do get that. And she's not allowed much. She's got YouTube and Pinterest, and that's about it. So, but there's still a lot of crap you can see on there. Trust me. We've had numerous occasions where we found her downloading things and deleted them and all sorts. But I haven't got the answers to that yet. But
if you get them, let me know.
Yeah, I will. I've got 2 lives, right? So I've kind of got your life where Friday and Saturday and Sunday daytime, it's just me, my wife, and daughter.
Yeah.
And then Sunday night they come back from their dads, and we've got a family of 5, and it's just bonkers. And then Friday night they go to their dads, and so I've got like 2 experiences. It's crazy, really. But I'm seeing what my little girl's gonna go through, so I've kind of got a good view on the future.
Getting you prepared.
Yeah. And even the transition of having a kid, because I lived with them for 3.5 years or whatever before.
Yeah, it would be softened.
It wasn't that. Yeah, I didn't feel that big a change. Whereas I looked at my business partner and other friends who had their first, and it was just life changing for them. And I was like, yeah, my life change was moving in with an 6 and 8 year old. That was the big one. So tell me about the role then. Now you've come back from maternity. Dan is no longer in the business every day or at all. Talk me through what it looks like now. What is your actual job? And because you said I want to do great work, quality work with great people on your terms, and enjoy it. So what are you doing right now?
I'm doing all the things that I love, which is awesome. So my job description is all externally focused, so that our general manager is all internally focused. So when I say external, I'm talking about tier 1 clients and account growth strategies, new business development, and going out and meeting new clients and signing new clients and leading from the front, taking the team with me and teaching them how to sign new clients. It's quarterly business reviews with our tier 1 and tier 2 accounts. So going out and reviewing our work with those clients as well and keeping my pulse on what they need from us and how we're tracking along. It's doing the market research, building out new divisions, and hence our tech division that's just launched. But doing the market research for that and doing the research to know where we need to pivot. So, for example, with our marketing strategy being searchable and findable on AI, those types of things. Then it's also around, I do a lot of our people management. So consultant management, that is. So the team leads report into me, and then a couple of consultants report into me as well. And so it's managing them one-to-ones, team meetings, leadership meetings, that kind of thing. And then podcasts, speaking at events, just being present, being the face of the business, essentially. LinkedIn content and blogs and thought leadership, all of that. What else do I do? And then it's the strategic side, so bringing the vision to life. So I have one day a fortnight. I try and do it weekly, but it's usually a fortnight where I'm just working on strategic projects that are in line with the vision and in line with what I'm trying to achieve for that quarter. And that's usually growth focused, because anything that's more operational and systems focused is normally sat with our general manager.
I love the line, I do the things that I enjoy. And I can see it in your face. Like you can feel, and I can feel it. Like, and I would say again, I'm in that position myself where I've done all sorts of jobs in this business. I've done everything it needed me to do at the times. Whereas now I'm pretty much doing the things I want to do.
Yeah.
And again, it's pretty similar. I don't really enjoy the people side that much, like the one-on-ones, and don't get me anywhere near that. Like let other people do that. We haven't got a big business. There's only 11 of us, so I've got the leadership team is 4 of us, and they all have teams, and I don't. But I'm out there. I'm podcasting. I'm still signing new clients. I'm still checking in with clients. I love writing. I'm loving the writing of my content still, and then leveraging AI and learning how to change with AI, and like the stuff I taught you guys on the boot camp. Like I'm still in it. I'm still doing it. I'm still evolving it. Like I love that part of my job.
Yeah,
and
me
it's
too.
like,
I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
We're doing things we love.
Tell me, I mean, what has the impact been on building your personal brand and having that like external focus, not just on the phone, because you were already great at getting out and winning clients. Like you knew what you're doing, but I've seen your journey online go to a whole new direction in life. Like what impact has it actually had? And because I still get people who don't really get how it translates into like growth and revenue. Like they just think it's a vanity project. So tell me what your opinion of that is.
There's a couple of things. I mean, the most impactful thing that gets my whole team bought into doing it is the fact that I get clients inbound through LinkedIn message, because they see my brand online and then they see the types of roles that we recruit for, and then they reach out to me for support with their recruitment. So I get HR managers, heads of sales, CEOs, founders reach out to me often for recruitment support through LinkedIn, through my content. So that's the most obvious one. When it's not that high converting, it's more that when they look me up online, once I've reached out to them or once I've just had a meeting with them or a phone call with them, it builds trust and credibility. And I do believe that it's then why they trust me and sign with me, is that it just completely backs up everything that I say to them, either over the phone or in the room or at the coffee shop. They look me up and go, oh, it feels really legitimate, and it builds trust. The other thing it does is with all my existing relationships, it nurtures them. They feel like they're part of my life and they feel like they're kept up to date. So I might walk into a client that I haven't seen in a year because I'm not the person looking after them on a day-to-day basis, but they go, oh my God, you had a baby, and oh my gosh, you got married, and oh my gosh, your dog is crazy. And people have things to talk to me about. So I feel real and relatable to people. And half the battle with building rapport is that people feel like you're real and that you're relatable and that you've shared a little bit about yourself, so they feel they can do the same thing back. So yeah, it serves me in so many ways. And then talent attraction. When we have the last couple of principal consultants that we hired, who have been top billers in their last company, have said, I checked you out on LinkedIn, and then I was able to listen to your podcast because it's featured at the top of my profile. And they went through my content and they said, she's a really present founder, and I want to work with a founder who's out in market and still trying to drive from the front. And that's attractive to people. So it's also talent attraction as well.
Oh, I mean, you've nailed it in all those elements there. You've summarized it really well. If you think about it, and it was Stuart Mitchell and Carl Winterbottom both told me, two of my most decorated clients, shall we say, both came to me with the same example in a different way. And they said, one thing they've realized is that when they now work with customers, there's a real high expectation on them to perform because of the levels of output they put into the market. They can't get away with bad practice.
No.
So there's like the positive and there's the negative and the positive. But I think it's a great thing for the industry. Like you cannot be there on stage podcasting and then just pissing clients off and upsetting candidates and doing really bad practice. Plus, when clients come to you and they can see examples and stories and they can build that digital picture of you before they even get in the room with you, it's hard to quantify that. You can't say that is exactly how that deal was converted, but you get to a point where you don't even need to quantify it, right? You know it's working. You know it's having an impact.
Definitely. I think it's definitely that way for me. The challenge that we have is that when people join us and they're starting, it takes a while. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. I've been posting on LinkedIn since I started my business in 2017, when nobody was really using LinkedIn.
Same.
And I was posting controversial blogs to try and get people's attention. Um, and they weren't bad, but they were a little bit controversial, a little bit challenging the status quo to try and get attention. I've been doing that since 2017, and now my LinkedIn does serve me really, really well, and the team benefits from my personal brand. But it didn't happen overnight. So I think the part that I would say is it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency to get to the point where it is giving you all the benefits I just spoke about.
What
But
about
start
what's the impact of your brand on the role that you've created for yourself? So I think it'd be very hard to spend as much time doing the things you love if you weren't as present externally at scale.
Yeah,
Because you'd be forced to do more of the grunt. Like I say, you can keep in touch with 15 clients through your digital presence and then have the time to do other things. Whereas if you were like, shit, I need to ring that guy again, I've not spoken to him in 3 months, and you were constantly on reminders of everyone to talk to, which was how we were trained,
yeah.
it'd affect the role dynamics of what you've built.
Yeah, I think that the foundation that I've built with my personal brand is why I'm able to have the freedom of choosing to do what I love now, because I have the infrastructure behind me to support that. If I say I want to be externally focused, I know that if I double down on that, I can get the benefit, like the outcomes for the business and the ROI for the business, because there's a foundation there with a personal brand. If you had, like, if my sister, like our general manager, was to go and do that, she wouldn't have the same impact because she doesn't have a personal brand. So she wouldn't be able to get the same ROI that I can. So I've created value for myself, not only in my role, but if anybody wanted to hire me, I have a lot of value. And that's what I tell my team members, is that whether you work with WOW Recruitment or you work with another agency, if you double down on your personal brand, that's an asset that you own. Nobody else has that.
Yeah.
And you take that with you wherever you go, and it creates value wherever you go. And people pay big money for that. You'll get a good salary if you have that.
Yeah, I think people hate the phrase personal brand. I don't really use it anymore in my own
Really?
marketing. Yeah, I think it just puts people off, and I think for me it's about trust and network. Like, it's about being a trusted advisor to the network, and it essentially is your personal brand. But the phrasing puts certain people off. I don't get it. Like, everyone knows they need to build a strong network in this industry, and they need to be trusted by that network. If you're just selling commoditized actions, like, I will go and run a search for you, Mr. Client. I don't know anyone in that space, but I'll find them. I think that process is limited. I think that's it's not got the legs in the future. Whereas I think if you can say, I've got the ear of the market, people know me, I can open doors like in a way that you can't. There's so much value there. Talk to me about where you're going now, because you're at a point in your career, your life. You're content, I would say. You've shaped things in a really, really good way. You've got infrastructure around you. You're doing the role that you want to do. Where do you see the next? Where's the future? And I want to. There's two areas I want to tap into. Is AI and your adoption of AI, but also the outcome of the business, like what you're trying to work towards. They're the two areas. So if we can tie them into one answer or break them down into two, I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay. So the next 5 years, we'll say, the goal is to be able to build an asset, not a job for myself. And what that looks like for me at the moment is doubling down on our sales, marketing, and tech offerings and being the go-to in those spaces. Sales and marketing, I genuinely believe we have the Sydney market, and we can have the Melbourne market and the Brisbane and the Perth market. We have some really phenomenal recruiters, and I say they're the best in Australia. So now we need to actually duplicate that, and not only duplicate it, but scale it out and gain more market share. So there's that. And then we've launched a tech division. So over the next 5 years, about be really gaining a foothold of that market and gaining market share there, but also the brand equity there, because we have it in sales and marketing. But
is it the same client base? You're just trying to tap into a different vertical, essentially?
Yeah. And so we're just not known for it. Right now, the clients come to us for tech, but we refer it out to other businesses. So we've got to get that all back in-house and become known for that. So yeah, it'll be about getting the market share there, and then just moving more towards the executive search and those more senior roles, because I think as we start to leverage technology more and more, and that a lot of agencies have access to the technology, our outreach and the way we go about getting the lower level candidates will become quite similar to each other. So the only way to differentiate and have a really solid value in market for our networks and our human connections and who we know. And what we've always been good at would be to go down that more senior path, which we've started to do. So just expanding our executive search offering, and we're hiring accordingly. So people we've been hiring have come from that more executive side of things, or at least have that exposure. What else for us? We are leveraging AI at the moment, but I don't think anyone really knows how far it can go for us. We're looking at all the different plugins to Bullhorn. Do you guys have Bullhorn over there?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Bullhorn's the biggest globally, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was the US and Australia or US UK.
Oh, no. I was using it when I moved back from Oz. I was using it in 2012 in the UK.
Yeah, okay, great. So we're looking at all their full suite, and then also building some of our own stuff. We're on Claude, we're on all the different platforms. We've got Copilot working nicely in our systems, but now it's more about looking at where the teams spend their time and going, well, if we were to replace that part of the process with a bit of technology, a bit of AI, how much time would they get back? And is it actually making us better at the way we deliver? Because if we're just doing it to save time, and we're just removing admin tasks, but we're not getting better at our delivery, then what's the point? Yeah. So always tying it back to like, how are we actually getting better at delivering a quality service for our clients and candidates? And if we're doing that, then it's worth investing in and worth.
You got someone responsible for that?
Our general manager does a lot of it at the moment. We're looking at bringing in a specialist to really help us with a roadmap. So next financial year, we're allocating a little bit of budget to getting a consultant to help us map things out. It's just, there's so much in the market. So you just want to make sure that you have a roadmap and that you're doing it effectively. But yeah, we've always said we want to be leading the way with AI in the industry. So we're always trialing stuff. We're always, we've always got our finger on the pulse about what's out there and what the different platforms are offering and what can we build. But it's a bit of a beast, isn't it? I don't think any of us really know how far it can take us.
But I think there's kind of two ways of looking at it. It's either strip back the costs of the business and carry on out, like creating the output we are today, or is it about doing more with what we've got with the people and the process we've got today? That's the kind of two types of conversations I see. So some founders are like, look, we're 20 people now. I think we can carry on at this revenue, but we'll be 10, and that's okay. And others are saying, well, no, we'll get to 25, 30, but we'll be performing as if we're a team of 50. That's the kind of mindset they've got.
Yeah. Well, when we caught up last time, I think I told you that there was one point where I got really caught up on the vanity metrics of headcount and having a big team. Whereas now I see it as, let's do a lot with less, and technology can help us do that. So there's been roles we had on the roadmap for this financial year that we just haven't hired because we've done the work using technology. And we've gotten rid of like the resourcer model. So we used to have people dedicated to resourcing for our consultants. And if that's all it is, we're pretty much doing that with technology now. And then the 360 consultants are doing the part that they're really good at, which is the relationship building and the face-to-face side and the qualifying side and getting the high level part of the role done.
So when you say 5 years, what happens in 5 years? Like, is there something you want to be doing personally in 5 years?
My role itself?
Yeah, like you've put 5 years. Is there a reason why it's clearly 5 years? And have you got a vision for you at that point?
Yeah, the reason, well, I'll give you a little bit of context on that. So we had a valuation done recently on our business. Mm-hmm. And valuations can be a pretty uncomfortable truth because as someone who's invested 9 years into something, your ego tells you it should be worth one thing. Yeah. And your pride tells it should be worth one thing. And when it's not worth that, it does shake you up a little bit. So the 5 years for me, and when I say I want to build an asset, not a job for myself, is that I want to be in a position where I have choice, where I have something that is worth something. I don't think I need to go into the details of what like our valuation was on here and like what we want the value to be. But I think what you can take from that is that, yeah, it's about creating a little bit of freedom of choice in that regard and having something that's worth something. And I think the way that recruitment agencies get value is going to really change over the next 5 years based on the way that technology gets adopted and how we use it and what technology becomes available as a result of AI. And so where we are in 5 years is actually really hard to put your finger on, because I think what we do will be really, really different. And the way we operate will be really, really different. So we just need to have the cadences in place over the next 5 years to be constantly pulse checking how we're doing business.
You've got to be ahead of your customers. Like, that's the reality. They're going to be ahead of their customers in the specialism they have. Like, an insurance company needs to be ahead of the latest innovation for insurance, right? But
yeah,
you've got to be ahead of them from a talent perspective. Like, you have to be. That's the goal, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we just have to have the cadences in place to constantly be assessing like how we're getting our talent and how we're delivering that to our clients, and how we're ensuring we're still adding value and we're still holding our own in the market. So yeah, what my role looks like, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it'll look very different, because I think the way we do business will look very different.
Yeah.
But I do know I want to be able to have like an asset where we have a little bit of freedom, where we've built something that we can turn back and go, that 5 years was well spent. We really built that.
Do you think like could you see yourself selling a business and doing something completely different, or would you always want to be involved? Like, again, not holding you to anything, but just trying to understand where your future looks.
We got approached to sell a little while back now. I think I told you that when we caught up last time, and that was a moment for me where I realized that I'm not done here. I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I love my work, and I'm still extremely passionate, and so I'm not ready to step back. I'm not ready to sell. In 5 years' time, that could look really different. I'll have more kids by then. Maybe I would be ready to sell, but it just comes back to having the choice and having the freedom. Could I sell and move on? Right now, no. But I'm also really open-minded and think in 5 years, maybe I could. And could I do something different? Yes. I think where my strengths are is around like commercial business. I'm very commercially minded, working with people, being very growth focused. I think that can be applied, and business strategy is just my thing. I think that can be applied to other areas. My husband runs businesses as well. So between the two of us, I mean, I've got a digital marketing agency as well. So between us, we have 4 businesses. So recruitment's not the only vehicle for me, but right now it's the one that I love the most.
Yeah. It's the 80% of everything right now.
Yeah.
Emily, I think we're out of time, but I think genuinely thank you so much for your candid nature, for your honesty. We've not gone into too much detail in any area, but I think we've got a really good picture as to the word that comes out, honestly, in my brain about you is intentional. Like, I feel like you're very intentional. Like, you're not. I meet people that are running a business 10 years and they're still going with it, and it's just kind of like they're in it and they're swimming and they're stressed out. And I get, again, maybe you're just a great actress, but what I get from you
try hard to be intentional, so that's a massive compliment.
I get a really intentional founder, and I think I'm trying to be similar. I'm trying to do something similar, and I think I'm trying to inspire others to be similar, because I think especially if you're trying to be a mother or a husband and a father and a mother, and you've got all these different roles in your life, you have to prioritize what's like when you're putting 80% of your time into a business, you got to be intentional about it. Otherwise, you're letting it drive you.
You sacrifice too much being a business owner. So I think if you're choosing the business owner path, you're going to make sacrifices. So you have to be spending your time well. And Kids does that for you. It gets you really clear on what the intention is.
It does. Yeah. Look, if anyone's listened to this and just wants to pick your brains on this intentional focus or anything you've covered, from, your adoption of AI to the way that you've, managed to negotiate out with a business partner, could they reach out to you on LinkedIn and pick your brains?
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
You always, I always like the stories when my guests come back to me and say, look, I actually did get a few people ask me to reach out. So I hope people do. And I want to get you back on. Maybe not, I don't want to wait 5 years. I think it's probably been 5 years since we started working together. I don't want to wait 5 years.
Yeah, we'll do it sooner than that.
Yeah, we'll do something in a year or two and see where you are and how far you are on that trajectory. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks so much. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the RAG podcast. If you haven't already, please do subscribe wherever you listen to this show. As the more subscribers we get, the more people will listen and the more recruitment owners we can help. As a recruitment founder, you must know that things are changing. AI is everywhere. Cold outreach is getting harder, and job boards, well, they're not what they used to be. But personally, Despite the negativity, I believe the future is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime in recruitment, because for the first time ever, a founder with 5 recruiters with a clear niche and the right systems can build the kind of influence, reach, and profitability that used to take 500 recruiters and a global office network. The agencies that are winning right now aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are the most visible, the most trusted, and the ones building inbound demand. At Hoxo, we're working with clients who are running multiple 6 and 7 figures in net profit, outperforming the negative noise and headlines. So, to explain what these guys are doing, I've created a brand new free masterclass video for RAG listeners. In this video, it's less than 10 minutes long. I'm going to show you what these businesses are doing differently from the rest. So the link's in the description. Fill in the form, watch the video, and see exactly how this system that these clients are using could work for your agency. Good luck.